Just wait for the truck to come through and we'll roll. White Claw. White Claw.
That's really why I did it.
And that's the secret to success. What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. I got my good buddy Yeadon Smith coming in. I've known Yeadon for about 2 years, and over the past 24 months since he came out to Commercial Empire, guy's picked up over 800 doors. He's launched a multifamily Facebook group called My First Million in Multifamily. He's doing some coaching and some education type stuff now. It's helping a lot of people make a lot of money, from new operators to his private money lenders. And the guy's just got a phenomenal philosophy on imparting wisdom to his kids and others, and you're gonna love his story. He's a fireball. He's got a ton of personality, and just has a lot of stories that are very easy to convey. So you guys are gonna love the conversation. So check it out. Come meet my buddy, Yeadon Smith. What's up, dude?
How you doing, brother?
Dude, good to have you here.
Short time no see.
I know, right? A couple weeks ago. So, dude, tell me a little bit more as this White Claw truck backs up and
It's backing up to the right spot, right here.
Ruins
right
all
here.
of our
Bring it right
sound.
over here.
Let's get into this, dude. Let's talk about life, business, success, achievement, how you've gone from us meeting 2 years ago, and now you got how many units?
800.
800 doors.
We got 800 doors.
And we got a lot of good stuff going on, man. So let's dive in. All right.
In my journal from last week, it popped up like, hey, 2 years ago, it popped up like standing outside my house, waiting for my cousin, who's my partner, Jennings, to pick me up, getting on a flight, headed to Cleveland.
To land, baby, to land.
It rocks. It actually does rock.
It's pretty good time,
I was
right?
pretty surprised by Cleveland.
Yeah.
We were
It's a
headed
bad
up
rep.
there for your, back when you had the live events, the Commercial Empire. And dude, I'm gonna be honest, I was like, we're going to spend $5,000 with this guy. Like, his model probably doesn't work. Let's, really, $5,000? Dude, best business decision of my entire life. Best financial decision of my entire life.
I appreciate that, dude. That means a lot. Got the chills. I remember getting on the phone with Jennings like the week before, and he's like, dude, is this another one of those? Like, you're gonna run me to the back of the room and chase me down with my credit card and this and that. I was like, listen, dude, they asked me to get on a phone call with you. If you want to come out, we'd love to. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it. You know, let's make it happen. And he tried selling me a custom home he was building or something. He's like, no, I'll build it for you, $350 a foot or something. And I was like, listen, man.
Back when we had to worry about clients that owned us.
Yeah.
That was thank God we don't do that anymore.
So you guys come out, learn about the way that we buy apartments. Just kind of opened it up.
Yeah.
You don't have to traditionally syndicate. There's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate.
Because what we had done, we had already started talking to people about, we'd made the mental shift, which I think is the biggest shift that somebody has to make.
Yeah.
To say out loud, I always think of the coffee cups are leaking.
That's all right.
I always think of the scene in Princess Bride, right? Like, hello, my name is Diego Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Like, hello, my name is Yeadon Smith.
Yeah.
I buy apartments. Do you know anybody selling?
Yeah.
like that.
I like it.
It's this mental shift where up until that point, the barrier is, my last name is Smith. I don't buy apartments. Guys who buy apartments have last names like Bezos, Buffett, Trump, whatever fill in the blank, gargantuan financial powerhouse there is. But we'd started doing that, and we had something we were analyzing traditionally. Couldn't make all the boxes turn green in the spreadsheet we were working with. And I still remember, I'm sitting in the conference. You're up there, you passed out. I love it. Like, it's so simple.
It is, dude.
Like, you passed out the sheets.
It's almost elementary.
It was like a coloring book page. Where like, fill in these numbers here, and I'm like, I had my laptop, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna type this into a Google Sheet at the same time, and I'm typing in the numbers from this deal that we couldn't get to turn green in the traditional syndication model. And it was like, ding! Like, oh my God, Jennings, look at this!
Yep.
This is a deal! And just like that, it went from no deal to deal. And the credit that I give is not that the model is genius, because it's a simple model.
Yeah.
It is a genius model.
It's the Burr method, dude.
But it's simple.
Yeah.
But it's realizing there's more than one way to put a deal together.
Yep.
That was the moment, like, oh, there's more than one way to do this, not just traditional syndication. And we've even grown like, oh, now we're not limited to a Burr method now.
Right.
We've expanded even beyond that.
Yep.
But that was the moment we went home and like, oh my gosh,
Let's
get this thing under contract. Let's get it closed.
Was that the one in Summerville or something?
That was the one in Goose Creek.
Goose Creek, like 70 units?
63 units.
Yeah.
It was a 3.8 purchase, $1 million renovation, and we actually just started the refi process with Litzler, so it's going to committee tomorrow. And we should pull out probably 5.2 from it, is what he anticipates we'll be able to pull out.
And you're all in for 4.8?
We're all in for like 5.
5?
5 because we're carrying
get
costs
all your money back,
yeah.
cover the closing costs, maybe get a little bit of cash.
There's going to be a little bit of cash left over on the refi.
At the end of the day, dude, you got a non-recourse loan, extended amortization schedule,
That's right.
Short or longer term on it, and dude, all the chips are off the table.
18 months from start to finish. We closed December 7th, 2019. We got a 2-year bridge debt with Lima, which ends in December, so we should be able to close up the refi. Okay, so like 19 months, July, but still less than 2-year turnaround time.
It's awesome.
No money of ours.
It's awesome.
No cash in the deal. Raised all the private money, and we learned.
Well, you guys come from a bunch of money, right? Well, like
my dad says we've been in Summerville for like 8 generations. I'm like, Dad, if we've been here so long, why aren't there more streets named after us?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no Smith Street or Franklin Street.
Yeah.
This like what's the deal? All right, so, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here.
Where did you get those investors from?
Phone calls. Calling people in our sphere, reaching out to people. It's like overnight success, 10 years in the making. Jennings had been working in the custom home construction field for decades.
Yep.
I had a track record in real estate agenting on the brokerage transactional side. That's all
and
about relationships.
Too. Didn't you do some management?
We'd started some property management company. We'd started a management company, but it's like the sum of all those relationships that we had, all the relationship capital that we had. We just started telling people like, hey, this is what we do. Just like we buy apartments, we started letting people know we're looking for people who want to invest in real estate.
That's it, man.
And here's what it looks like.
Everybody
on that
has
deal,
people,
we raised $1.25 million.
Everybody already has people in their Rolodex, people they already know, they already trust, people that trust them, that they've done business with, even in a small scale, that have money or have access to money. And dude, all you got to do is plant the seed. All you got to do is open up the conversation and just let them know what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're structuring it and how you're paying on it. What are they going to say? No, I don't want to invest. Not right now. I don't have the money right now. I'll have it in a few years. I'll have it in 6 months. At least they know what you're doing, so that way when they do have the cash, they can bring it to your deal.
Exactly.
Like there have been so many. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
You know them. Remember when we went and grabbed barbecue down at Lewis Barbecue a few months ago?
Oh yeah.
And there were a bunch of other, just entrepreneurs and stuff there.
It was like, come down for barbecue tonight.
Dude, one of the guys there, I met through some marketing stuff, and he's like, hey, dude, I just sold my business. I think he sold it and made 8 figures net to himself. And he's like, hey, I'm looking to invest, blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, what's your number? And I give him my number, and he types it into his phone, and my name popped up in his phone. I was already in his phone. You know why? Because I had a conversation with him 11 years ago, 12 years ago when I first started investing.
When you were still here in Charleston before you moved up and back.
Yep. When I first started investing in Charleston, he lived in Mount Pleasant. I lived in the neighborhood next to mine.
Back when it was affordable.
Yeah, somehow networked or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, hey, I'm interested. I just don't have the capital right now or whatever. I'm growing my business, blah, blah, blah. Dude, 11, 12 years later.
Oh my gosh.
Planted that seed. He's like, dude, I remember. You lived in this development.
He sees it and he's like, oh, dude, it all comes back.
Came back to him. And I was like,
at that point,
that's a seed.
You don't even have to close.
Somebody I've known for 12 years, who's known me for 12 years, he's seen my growth now of where I started, where I am today, and now he's ready to invest. Dude,
and he just sold his business and he has 10 figures.
Exactly. And if I wasn't doing real estate, guess what? He wouldn't be investing with me, right? But because I stayed with it, because I was consistent with it, because I didn't waver in anything that I was doing, and I just stayed the path, dude. A no is not a no forever, right? No is a no for maybe like right now.
Right.
But it could be a yes 6 months, 6 years, 15 years down the road. and could create huge opportunities. And dude, I just stayed, and now all of a sudden he's got $500,000 with me. We'll probably do more.
And that is a killer story. I
Dude,
love
it's
that.
wild, right?
I love
It's a wild
that.
story. So, anyways,
Right after we closed that Goose Creek deal.
yeah.
So, funny story is I ended up doing property management for a 20 unit literally across the fence from the one we closed on because it looks identical to ours. I pulled in, was taking pictures. Some dude walks in.
Take all the tenants and you put them into your building.
You?
No.
Can I help you? And he's like, and you know, in commercial real estate, like, you got to play your cards close to the chest.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have said like, yeah, we're under contract to buy this place. So I'm
Yep.
taking, it's like, oh, the owner asked me to come take some pictures. He's like, well, I am the owner. I'm like, is this not this hat? I pulled in the wrong parking lot. So we were doing management for it. I was actually on the ground doing the actual management. And I was super excited after we closed the deal. And so I was sharing with him the Burr model. And it's like, hey, this is how it works. I was all super excited. And he laughed at me.
Telling this to the neighbor next door.
No, the owner of this apartment.
Oh, okay.
Because he's an operator.
Yeah.
Like, he bought this apartment. He invests in real estate.
This
so
is the
it's like,
20 unit?
The 20 unit.
Yeah.
The 20 unit that he bought, repositioning.
Yep.
You know, this is one of the things he does is reposition apartments, invest in real estate. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be great. So I had my conversation, you know, drawing out all the diagrams and the spreadsheets and everything, and he laughed at me in that conversation. And not like, oh my gosh, you're such an idiot. Just like, I would never invest in a deal like that.
He wouldn't passively invest in a deal like that.
he wouldn't passively invest in a deal like that. And it hit me like,
Because he's not getting enough
when
equity.
I was first getting started, exactly. It hit me like a sledgehammer. But then I'm like, you know what? That's not a knock on anything I'm doing. And honestly, it's not even a knock on him. It's just like, it's not a good fit for him. And in the back of my mind, now I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
Because here we are, it's like, he's called me 3 or 4 times in the past year asking me questions
Yeah.
about apartments and investing and real estate. I'm like, my attitude's not like, oh, well, who's laughing now?
Yep.
But it's like, I've come a long way, and there will come a time when somebody who laughed at me very likely is going to be putting money into a deal that I have.
Absolutely, dude. It happens all the time for me right now.
So, like,
Yeah.
there is no conversation wasted.
No, dude. And you don't burn bridges. Don't
No.
burn, like.
No, he's a great guy. He's
Yeah.
a great guy. He's like, he'd never seen this model before. He's like, I wouldn't. It was unusual for him, so he shied away from it.
And the thing is like, people don't understand, especially if you're in like institutional equity, right? If you've invested through hedge funds or REITs or whatever into deals in traditional syndication model before, the dilemma is they look at how much equity the equity investors are getting in the deal, and they're like, oh wait, I can get 70% over here and you're only offering 25%. Like, why would I ever do that? I would never do that deal. Well, the reason is because I can get you into 3 or 4 deals
Because
in the
this
same
IRR
amount of time.
over here, look at this. Look at this.
The
Velocity of capital.
It's exactly. It's you can turn over the money more and you can have more velocity on your capital. I get you in 3 or 4 deals that we're going to keep that actually have equity, right? You're buying a $10 million building for $10 million bucks, and you might own 70% of it, but guess what? Your 70% is not worth anything because you're into it for what it's worth.
It's all debt.
Right. Well, we're buying value add opportunities. You might own 25% of it, but we're in for $7 million. It's worth $10 million, and guess what? That 25% is worth $750,000, and we can do it 4 times over the course of the next 7 years versus your single traditional syndication that you have to sell in order to get your money back. I'm going to refinance you out over and over, and you still own equity in these 3 or 4 deals, and it's worth a lot more than what this one deal is over here. So you have to just get to that part of the conversation. It's not a sales pitch. It's an educational.
It's a skill set
of just educating
like,
people.
Here's why we do it this way. The problem we're fast running into now is we have more money than we can place. You know, we have Goose Creek that's refinancing now. That'll be $1.25 million. I know the investors that Jennings and I brought to the table, I know they're going to want to put the money into another deal.
Yep.
They're not interested in having $100,000 in the bank.
Yep.
They're interested in getting the cash flow and the equity and the passivity, is that the word?
Yeah.
The passiveness.
Passivity sounds good.
And the depreciation and all those benefits of having the money in deals. And
dude, that's one of the things, like, you don't, oh no, I can get a better return. Well, like, first of all, you have to compare an active return to a passive return.
Right.
2 very different things. And dude, by the way, a lot of the active operators that are making 20, 30, 40% per year on their money aren't, right? They're not. I'm seeing it. And Dude, and then they're going and buying, or a turnkey single-family house, and they're trying to get an 8% return. Bro, I'm paying you 8 to 10% as a fixed pref on top of equity, and you don't have to do any work.
You just check your email once a month. It says like, oh, dude, your ACH
silly.
is on the way. Oh yeah,
it's silly. Sure. Like people don't compare apples to apples. They're always comparing apples to oranges, apples to bananas. Like, you have to compare apples to apples of what the return looks like. And dude, you quickly realize that the way that we structure, now dude, it's also a lot of work on us.
My gosh.
You gotta be able to source phenomenal deals, and you gotta be a hell of an operator. If you can do those two things, you can be that's limitless opportunity, right?
For sure.
But you gotta be able to do those two things. But we're the ones who are creating all the value. We're the ones who are sourcing off-market deals, direct to the seller, not getting in bidding wars, buying it for a deep discount, right? And we're the ones forcing appreciation, right?
This Goose Creek deal that that we are about to refinance, we closed December 7th. Nothing as an operator.
Yep. Didn't take an acquisition fee, didn't take asset management fees, didn't do any of that.
I mean, we take acquisition fees now.
So do I.
We got to keep the lights on.
I was going to say, like, now that's one of the things that's changed over the past 2 years since we met. I even take acquisition fees
now. We didn't at the time.
You got to, man. Otherwise, it gets too stressed.
Yeah.
And dude, and as the investor, me investing in a deal with you, I want you focused on this deal.
Exactly.
Not looking not looking for a job on how you're going to pay for putting food on the table.
I still got to pay my mortgage. I still got to buy food for my 4 kids. I still got to pay for my internet and my cell phone. You do not want to have your operator stressed out about money.
Yeah, totally.
That is a bad situation.
Right. You want them focused on your deal.
At risk, puts all sorts of things at risk. But it will be 19 months, maybe 20 months before I see anything from the syndication side as a general partner on this deal.
Yep.
The investors have made all the money.
Yep. Dude, it's a sweet deal for the investors. It is a sweet setup for the passive money lenders.
And for the investors, I've started telling this story every time I go someplace when someone asks me about, well, how do you, even in the mastermind, people are like, how do you raise money? I was like, guys, you have got to get good at this.
Yeah, got to.
Because there are people who are counting on you to develop this skill, to ask them to invest money. Well, I have an investor, and he has money in with us in Goose Creek. He has money in the 2 deals we just closed. He has I don't know, $350,000 with us. And on all these deals, we're paying a 10 pref on their money. And he called me up to just express gratitude that Jennings and I had jumped out into this industry. Because last year, pre-COVID, his retirement gig was delivering catering. He's just doing something in his retirement. He was delivering catering, and he crushes it in tips because he doesn't care. He'll ask for a big tip when he's delivering the food.
It's funny.
But he called me to say thank you because from the passive income that he now has from investing in these deals, he does not have to go find anything to do once COVID is all done.
Yep.
He doesn't have to go back, doesn't have to worry about any sort of part-time income because he's making $30,000-$35,000 a year in passive income on these deals.
It's a game changer, dude.
And he's 71 years old. Here's the kicker. This is my dad.
Awesome.
And he was like, I am able to totally retire now because of what you guys have done.
It's awesome, dude.
And when I talk with other people who are like, how do you get like, dude, you need to learn these skills. Like, buy whatever course you need to buy. Get whoever you need to mentor you. Because there are people in your life who are desperate,
dude, for
what we have as an opportunity.
We owe it to them, man. We owe it to them. Like, what are the other options?
It's like, you can't, if you're 71, you can't live off $500,000 for the rest of your life. But you put 500 grand in these deals where you're making 50,000 passive plus equity,
not
plus
eating
return.
into the principal.
Yeah, not eating into the 500 grand. If you have 500 grand, if you're super conservative, you might have 10 years.
Yeah.
But now with inflation.
Yeah.
But you put it into these these relatively low risk investments.
Yeah.
You're set. You're done.
That offset inflation, right?
Exactly.
And not only does it get the pref, but dude, he's got upside equity in these deals as well.
Oh yeah.
And it's
he's got all the upside. He's going to get his capital back and be able to roll it. Just like, that's what I love. You get to roll it into another deal.
Yep.
So a small time investor with 50 grand, you put your money in a deal. 2 years later, get your money back, put it in another deal.
Yep.
Over the course of 10 years, you got 5 deals.
Yep.
You got 5 pieces of equity in 5 different projects.
Little annuities, man, paying you every month or every quarter.
Suddenly you got a couple $100 coming in, couple $100. Like, I remember, you ever play the cash flow game from Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've only played it online because it's super easy to set up. Click, 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 click. Like, once that passive cash flow exceeds the monthly expenses, it like kicks you into the next level. And it's like, you can't hardly lose once you get on that outside track.
That's it.
And once I understood that, not just for me, but for my investors, I'm like, I can't shut up about this stuff anymore.
Well, dude, like, the reason you're having success is twofold. You have seen the success, right? And so you believe in it now because people are like, Yeadon, thank you so much. I can't believe this is amazing, right? So now you believe in it, right? But now you're like, dude, I believe in it so much that I have to go and tell, because what do they have to compare it to? Right. You're gonna go put it in a CD, earning 0.5% with the bank?
Yep.
Dude, do you realize?
Or it's locked up for 5 years?
Yeah, 0.5% to 10% is not 9.5% more, dude. It is 900% more.
Yeah.
It is it's more, it's 1,800% more, whatever it is.
It's ridiculous.
It's not 9%, dude. It is.
It's geometric. It's not linear.
It's many times more. Not just like additive of, hey, it's going from 0.5%, dude. It's like 1,800 times more. You would have to have that money in for 1,800, like, or 180 years to earn the same return over like 10 years, whatever it is, right? And you start thinking about it that way, and you're like, dude, I'm accelerating people's growth to grow their wealth. And when you realize that, hey, they can either put it in that, or they can put it in the stock market, which goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And people don't realize, in the stock market, if you have $1 million in the stock market and it goes up by 20% and down by 20%, oh, I'm back at even. No, you're not. Dude, it went up to 1.2, and when it drops from 1.2 by 20%, it goes down to 960. Right? Or if, let's say it drops.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say it's $1 million and it goes down 20%, goes to 800, goes back up by 20%.
No,
you're only at 960.
Because if you're going up 20%, you're at 1.2.
Yeah,
if you
it's
go
the
down
same
20%, you're down 240.
Exactly. It's the same amount. But everybody thinks, and that's why financial advisors, they sell based on the average returns over the past 80 years since this fund has been around. Dude, if you look at what it actually does to the money, every time it goes up and every time it goes down, the actual financial return on the cash is closer to 3.5%. You would be better off getting a 4% fixed return every year than riding the stock market. 4%. Yeah. It's not 8.5 or whatever the hell that they tell you it is. Dude, 4% beats the stock market. Yeah. So we're paying 2.5 times that. Dude,
it's crazy.
It's wild, man. It's so much better. And once you know that, and once you own it, and once you see what it does for people like your dad and people, other investors, dude, like, we have a responsibility to share that with the world.
Well, I have investors now who are like, hey, when's the next deal coming out? It's like, I'm still on your list, right? I haven't heard from you in 3 months. I'm like, dude, these deals are hard to find. Like,
dude, and listen, man. Not every single one of my deals is a home run, right? Like, there are some that aren't achieving the return,
the 30%
metrics.
IRR.
Right, like it's not 20% IRR. It's maybe 15, or maybe it's 13, maybe it's like 17 or whatever. But like, guess what? Worst case scenario is a 10% return on investment.
That's not a bad deal.
Plus some, and it's tax advantage versus like getting taxed at your earned income tax bracket. This is more of it's taxed at like long-term capital gains. And so like, when you start thinking about it that way, and then there's some of them that are beating the hell out of our
even
returns.
Like, if you look at the ultimate downside, somebody's like, well, what's the downside? I'm like, well, one, the absolute ultimate downside is the government takes control of private property, like what happened in Russia in the early 20th century. And so there is no private property. If that happens, we're all screwed. Like, doesn't matter whether you're an investor.
But you got way bigger problems than
right. We're going to have different levels of problems if that happens.
This apartment building over here will be the least of your problems if that happens.
The realistic worst case scenario is the projections are off, the financial markets change, something shifts, and we have to sell the asset before the target is. But even worst case scenario, we've been paying you 10% for however many months, and let's say we can only give you back 80% of what you gave us. It's like, that's not a bad worst case scenario.
Yeah, dude, and we're buying at a low enough basis where you got lots of options.
Oh yeah,
right.
We got a huge buffer.
So really, I would say even worst case scenario, that's if they needed their money back right away.
Right.
Real worst case scenario is like, dude, we just ride it out longer.
Yeah.
Guess what? We can't pay you back your money, but here's what happens. Here's the beauty of commercial real estate and multifamily.
You still get your check every month.
You get your check every month. We keep slamming down principal on the loan amount. The property goes through whatever economic cycle or COVID garbage that we have to go through, and it comes back out in 2 years or 5 years or 7 years instead of 18 months like we had hoped. And dude, if worst case scenario, you make it 10%, and it takes a little bit longer to get your money back, is that still a good worst case scenario? Yeah, hell yeah, it's a good worst case scenario. So
Exactly.
I think and that's the beauty of the whole multifamily world, man, is like, even you could screw up the purchase, you could screw up the renovations, you could screw up a lot of things. The market could completely.
Time is your friend.
Yeah, you just hang on to it longer.
Time is your friend with commercial real estate.
Values will come up. And especially with all the inflation, dude, values and rents will increase the same way with inflation, and you'll keep on hammering away at principal pay down, and eventually that equity will be created, and it's just going to take time. So if you're okay with that being a worst case scenario and knowing that your principal is still secured by this tangible asset and backed by this great piece of property, dude, I think that's a really, really good situation to be in.
Well, I remember one of the things that you said. This is not the only thing I remember you said, but like, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is build wealth over time.
Yep.
For sure.
For sure.
It's just a math equation.
Yep.
A plus, the trainer that I go to is like, building muscle is just math. If you can lift 100 pounds, you put an extra 5 pounds on there, your muscles are going to grow because they're being stressed.
Yep.
It's just how it works.
How many calories you take in, how many calories you burn, right?
Hey. This commercial real estate, it's not speculation, it's just math equations.
It's very predictable.
I love it.
It's very predictable. Are there ways to make more money faster? Yeah, but very speculative, The whole stock market game, the Bitcoin and crypto game, you might be able to pop off some big money, but guess what? It can also take your legs out even as quickly.
On the residential side, because my background was residential real estate, and you can make a lot of money in the residential side. The thing I don't like about residential is the value of residential real estate is totally at the whim of the market.
Yeah. There's zero control over it, zero predictability over it.
I know in the Charleston market, the Charleston market is going gangbusters. The lowest inventory I've seen in my career, lowest inventory my uncle has seen in his 20 plus years in the industry. But if you had to sell a house last year in April, that was not a good month to sell.
Yep.
Because everything had just gone on lockdown, nobody knew what was going on. Now we've come out of that, but a residential piece of real estate, the value is based on how much is a buyer willing to pay to live there. That's it. Doesn't matter how much you can rent it for.
Versus a math equation, right?
It's like, oh, your rent is $100,000 a year on this 8-plex. It's like, well, your NOI is probably about 50, and the cap rate is X, so we just do a division problem, and shazam, it's worth $1 million.
That's it, man. Super predictable.
It's not complicated.
No, it's simple. It's not easy, but it is simple.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
There's definitely work that goes in. There's
gosh.
definitely nuances. There's definitely headaches. There's definitely phone calls. There's definitely BS that you got to deal with. But at the same time, man, it's a very simple thing. And once you really have it dialed in, dude, it's rinse and repeat over and over and over and over again. How many times can you do it?
Our first stressful event was on that Goose Creek deal. We went from $1 million capital raise to $1.25 million capital raise. So
you need to raise $250 pretty quick, huh?
Yeah. So we scrambled, and this is Jenny's and me. This was our first capital raise we'd ever done. Now we have partners, financial loan sponsor from Maine. They've done stuff like this before, but we were pretty stressed out. Like, oh my gosh, we have to get on the phones. We have to make phone calls. We got to find another $250,000. It worked out. We closed that deal. This year, on a property up in Illinois, East Moline, after the lender went up on site, they're like, yep, your renovation budget's a little light. We're not comfortable with 1.1, it needs to be 1.25. That plus some other reserves and everything on the loan, our capital raise went from like 1.3 to 1.7. So we had to find another $400,000.
You already did it once, dude.
Right.
Did it once, you can do it again.
Going through the stress. But I tell you what, like, you're right. This is not easy. It is high stakes, high stress. But once you commit, if you commit to it, and, well, you know, you got to dig the well before you need it.
Yeah.
If you haven't talked with anybody and suddenly you need an extra 400 grand, like, Godspeed. I wish you success. Really, I do. But you got to start talking to people well in advance.
Yep.
Because they send you money if they like the asset and if they trust you.
Yep. You got to trust you, man.
You know.
Got to trust you. Got to respect you from that perspective. You know. The yeah, I think that's a big deal, man. Especially in raising money, they need to trust you and they need to respect you. Like, my dad didn't invest with me until about a year and a half ago. No, a little over a year ago. And I've been in real estate for a long time. I've been investing for a long time. He trusts me, just didn't respect me from investing in real estate, right? All these other people.
Timmy's in real estate still? Okay.
Oh, man, yeah. I remember wiping his ass when he was a baby, right? I remember, you know, talking to the cops when he was caught rolling toilet paper in people's houses in high school. I remember driving him and his drunk friends around in college, right? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, he wants my money to invest in a piece of property.
You want me to write you a check for how many thousands?
Not yet, son. Not yet. And then
let me see if this fad sticks.
Dude, I had to put him on the email list. I put him on my email list, so he got like these, and he got like all this content over many years, over 3 years before he's like, hey, Dad, I got this deal. You want to come in? It's local, you know it. It's on the metro parks that you walk every single day. What's the investment? $100,000. I'll start out with 50.
Can I do a half share?
Yeah. And so I let him in on it. But it's he's like, you know. And the other thing is, like, he's old school mindset of what kind of returns can I get, and he's comparing everything to a certificate of deposit. You know, and kind of going back to what we said earlier is there's people in traditional syndication. They're like, oh, I need more equity. I need a higher IRR. I need this and that. I need 24% per year. And then there's people on the totally other side of the spectrum, like my dad, who, if he can get a 3% per year return, he's like, that's amazing, right? So when I told him 10%, he's like, too good to be true. It's not real.
Like, oh, that's got to be high risk.
Yeah.
It's got to be high risk.
Yeah, they perceive it that way.
It's crazy how that works.
Hey, Dad, I'll pay you 3% if you only want me to pay you 3%. But
4%.
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
I'll take it.
So it's like understanding who you're communicating with.
It's a fine line that you have to walk sometimes.
And again, it's just educating people, though. You know, it's not like understanding their perspective and then bringing it full circle of why do they think that, why, you know, what's the missing piece, and just bridging that gap and understanding that.
In 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey's classic, one of the chapters which I love is empathic listening. Seek first to understand before you seek to be understood, right? That one investor that I pitched to, I was like all excited, like I didn't understand him. Which is why he didn't understand me. You know, pitching to somebody that's super excited about a 3%, and you say this is 10%, like if you don't understand that their risk tolerance is here, and all they see with a double-digit % return is that's too high risk because that's what the system has told me my entire life. If you don't understand where they're coming from, in youth ministry back in the day, we used the phrase, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If they don't know that you understand them, they don't care what you know. They don't care how many doors you have. They don't care how many assets under management. What your balance sheet looks like, what the cash flows will look like.
I think, and that's a big deal in raising money, right? Is, you know, the reason I think real estate can be stressful for guys like us is because, dude, we care so much. We have friends, we have family with money in our deals.
Some of them, their life savings is in this deal.
Right. And like knowing that, you know, a lot of things only as important as you want it to be, right? There's
it's only as important as you want it to be.
What's John Cicada said that in a song. Things are only as important as you want it to be, right? Have a right. I know you're gonna be using that later, Cam, but there's a lot of truth in that, right? Like, guess what? I don't know. How important is it that I get back to my car in time to feed the meter? I don't know. Like, it's really either really important to me because I don't want to pay a $25 ticket, or I just don't give a shit about it, and I get a $25 ticket, or run the risk of getting it. But it's like, it's not somebody else imposing that on me. It's me self-imposing that stress on myself. Right. It's me being on time to a meeting to sit down with a friend and film and making sure that I'm on time. If I'm not on time, it's not the end of the world, but it's me stressing over it and self-inducing that stress. And I think from a real estate perspective, dude, I see some guys who just don't care about, hey, sorry, I lost money on the deal, investors, lost your money on the deal, investors, and they give it back, right? And then I see other people like us who are like, dude, if there's a deal that's going sideways a little bit, dude, I'm up in the middle of the night.
What do I need to do?
Figuring it out, and that gets conveyed to the investors. That gets conveyed. They see
That's right.
in your character, and understanding that you actually give a crap about what's going on with them, with their money, and you're proving to them that you're the kind of person who's willing to work third shift at Taco Bell if you have to, right?
Absolutely.
In order to make sure that they get their money back. That's what makes it easy to raise money, because we've conveyed that character to our investors.
And the thing that I realize is, you don't have to have a track record of raising money or doing deals to have that character.
Right.
To communicate that gravity of the situation to people you're asking money for. You know, if they've watched you hustle, what it is. I mean, I was hustling real estate for years before I did any investing. I was doing network marketing before that.
Yep.
I was in youth ministry before that. But it's just like 20 to like 15 years. No, 18 years of track record of communicating how much I care about you as my client, or my youth ministry kid, or parent for you. It's my whole life is caring about my clients.
You need to go out of the way and
doing whatever I have to do to make this work. So that my client doesn't suffer.
Dude, it's one of those things where it's not something you just get, right? It's something that takes time to develop. But
Overnight success, 10 years in the making.
But it can be ripped away very quickly if you don't do the right thing. And so it's that whole character reputation piece is something you gotta be working on a daily basis. And the more you develop your character, the more you're gonna attract other people of good character around you, right? And people are gonna notice that, and they'll be attracted to that. And the easier it is to raise capital, right? But it's a track record.
Snowball.
It takes time, like anything, right? It's planting seeds, and it's having those conversations and proving yourself to people over time, and then eventually, all of a sudden, it looks easy to raise $400,000 at the last minute. No, like, I've been cultivating these relationships and showing people that I'm a good human being, and I do what I say I'm going to do, and I have something called integrity, right? For 15, 20, 30 years that I've been in business, you know?
Picasso,
not only in this business, but in all businesses.
You know the story of Picasso at like the farmer's market, and somebody recognizes him at the farmer's market, and they're like, "Oh, could you, you know, here's a napkin. Here's a napkin. You know, would you draw me some?" So, you know, like 30 seconds, draws him, like, "Here you go," and they're like, "That'll be $5,000. I'm getting the numbers wrong, but some expensive amount of money.
For 30 seconds.
They're like, "What? It like you spent 30? Like it took you 30 seconds to do that?" It's like, no, it took me 30 years to be able to do that in 30 seconds. Like it's taken years of relationships, of showing up and being consistent in people's lives to get to the point where we have a database that we can go to. Like, here we have a deal, we need $1 million, and it fills up in a few days. We were on our way home from Illinois for this deal in East Moline, 115 units. We went to go look at it in November after we had it under contract. Like, okay, is this what we think it is? Are we all in? Or are we going to cut bait right now? So we left Moline, like, we're all in. So we started making phone calls, and that was the 1.7 raise. At the time, we needed 1.3. So we started making phone calls on the travel home, and we had $1 million verbally committed by the end of the day. Just the people like, "Oh, you got another one? I'm in." Send me. We didn't even have the numbers yet.
You just need the track record, man.
We didn't even have the numbers yet. It's like, it's taken years to be able to do something like that.
Dude, and it's like across the board, you know, like raising money. And dude, there'll be a time where somebody reaches out to you and says, "Hey, Yeadon, will you sponsor this loan?" Yeah, no problem. I'll sponsor the loan. I want 25% of the deal. Yeadon, all you're doing is signing on a loan. You're not doing any of the work. You're not raising any of the money. You're not operating it, project managing it, asset managing. Like, Yeadon, what are you talking about? 20? Hey, it took me 40 years of my life to get to a place where my credit is in a spot.
I can
where my
sign
balance
this
sheet
and it'll
is in a
work.
spot. Yeah, where somebody's willing to give me 80% of the money for this multi-million-dollar building on my name and on my reputation. It's taken a lifetime for me to develop that. And I think people just need to understand that, of what the value is in that, because there's a lot of time and a lot of consideration that goes into that stuff. And dude, one sideways deal could screw up your credit totally, and you can't sponsor loans anymore. Now you got to go and find somebody else to sponsor your loan. So it's
I had a meeting with
so many
one of
parts
our
of this business is like
this
that.
morning, who we've done 1, 2, 3. We're on our 3rd deal with this same community bank. Mm-hmm. And
the local bank around here?
Local bank, Service First.
Cool.
You know, it's like a regional bank headquartered in Alabama. They got a branch up in Summerville. And so this deal we just closed in Georgia, Statesboro, Georgia, they did the loan for it. We were also talking with some loan broker that the brokers had in-house, the real estate brokers had in-house. The loan broker was emailing our banker asking questions, and of course the banker couldn't really answer any of them because it's all confidential stuff. He didn't even say if he actually did the loan or not. But in the conversation with the banker, Mike, he's like, this really is all about relationships. Like, we've known him for years. Mm-hmm. Jennings was in a fraternity with him in college. Mm-hmm. You know, that might not have stood so well with our first deal, but he's seen our growth, he's seen our progress.
The trust is there, the respect wasn't there.
Yeah,
right? Like on the first deal.
Yeah.
But now
the
got
respect is there. Like,
right.
we send him a deal, he's like, oh, if Jennings and Yeadon have a deal that they're sending to me, all I got to do is make sure they didn't carry the 3 wrong.
Yep.
And then I will vouch for them, because he has to vouch for us to the loan committee.
Yep.
Like, yes, these guys know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I trust them. We should give them this $3 million.
Yep.
It's relationships. I tell my boys, we got 3 boys and a girl. William is 13. Finney's just turned 11. And I'm like, guys, the only reason we've been able to do all of this over the past 2 years is because of relationships.
Yep.
Is building relationships, showing up over time, even before we did anything with apartments, showing up in real estate and building those relationships, showing up in health coaching, helping people lose weight. Just a history of showing up and being consistent.
Yep.
And doing what you say you're going to do.
From a standpoint of teaching your kids about relationships, you know what's funny about that is a lot of people are like, don't talk to strangers. And there's somebody in our mastermind, they're in the middle of writing a book, and it's a really cool idea. It's like, don't talk to strangers. Right? It's like,
don't talk to strangers.
Everything you've ever wanted came from a stranger, right? Like, we were strangers before we ever met, and now we're buddies, right? Now we're in a mastermind. Now we're doing deals, and like, everybody was a stranger initially. And the value of relationship capital, like, it's such a change in philosophy of telling your kids not to talk to other people versus now telling your kids, develop those relationships, talk to other people, you know, see how you can add value to their life, see how you can add, like, it's such a philosophical change. And I get it from a perspective of keeping the kids safe. But then there comes a time where you got to pivot that. Once they know right from wrong, once they know safety from danger, like, now it's about, you should be cultivating those relationships. You should be having these conversations. You should be showing up for your friends, and when they fall off their bike, you need to be there to go help pick them up, right? You need to be there to go and call the mom or call the dad or whatever that needs to look like. You know, if they forget their money and for lunch, dude, cover them and they'll pay you back. Like, that starts from an early age and all of a sudden compounds over time, and it makes life a lot easier when you know that you have those relationships built. But you got to have relationships. You got to talk to strangers. You got to go out and develop those connections, man. That's why it's so important to, like,
with
be
our
in groups like ours.
We have, I mean, having 4 kids, we've homeschooled from day one. So we have, my wife calls them, like, I think, tricky adults. Because, like, with kids, there is some risk of kids talking with adults.
For sure.
Like, I'm not knocking that. But, yeah, at the same time, and it's difficult with kids, especially because they're not mobile. Like, the only time they go anyplace is when I take them there.
Yep.
But one of the benefits of homeschooling is I take them with me. Like, my kids have been with me when I was the one changing air filters at that 20-unit apartment.
Yep.
And they're like, what's that smell? I'm like, oh, that smell, that's cigars. Yeah, don't worry about that. They've been with me.
Or cat urine.
Yeah.
Or
William, my 13-year-old, he went with me to a deal we're working on in Clemson, taking all the pictures from our walkthrough. We walk into one, I'm like, William, that smell is roach crap. Mm-hmm. And it's a very distinctive smell. Once you smell it, you can't unlearn it.
Yep.
And this is why we try and help you guys learn how to keep your room clean, because they come from somewhere.
I've seen a lot of people who raise their kids and they try to instill the family business on their kids from an early age. And then the kids want nothing to do with it when they come of age to take over the business. And then I've seen other businesses where the kids are like, I'm ready to take over the business, I've been cultivated, and da-da-da. What do you think is the difference between the ones who want to take over the business versus the ones who don't? I have a couple of my own thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
So that's a really good question, and I haven't actually internally dived deep on what the difference might be. William, my 13-year-old, he's doing an internship with me this summer, paying him $10 an hour, probably 10 hours a week. He's going through the educational stuff that we built out, so he understands what I do. Mm-hmm. But I think part of it, one thing that occurs to me as kids who like push back, I suspect it has something to do with how much that business took their parents away from them.
I agree. That's my exact philosophy.
Where it's like, if the business is taking 80 hours of my dad's life a week, I don't care that he's making $1 million a year. Yep. And I have everything. I want to hang out with my dad.
Yep. He didn't come to my baseball game. He didn't come to my soccer game. He didn't come to my dance recital.
And I'm not going to be like my parents. Yep. I'm going to show up for my kids. And I see what my dad did, but I don't need to make $1 million a year. I'm fine getting all my bills paid and saving some.
When the parents don't show up to the things that are important to the kids, I think, begin resenting the reason that they're not there, which is usually work or business or whatever. And so I think,
and of course, it's easy to justify for us. He's like, dude, I'm doing this because the bills got to get paid.
Exactly.
It's like, I got to pay the mortgage. I got to pay the electric bill. Yeah.
You got to think of, back to your point earlier on, like, what do they see and how can you think from their perspective and empathetically listen, right?
One thing I've done with the boys is absolute transparency on where our money comes from, how much money we make, what our expenses are. Not from a, hey guys, just so you know, like our mortgage is X amount per month, so you should be stressed out.
Yep.
Because that's some would say some form of emotional or financial abuse for children. And I don't want them to have that stress. But like, guys, here's a check for $20,000, which is my share of an acquisition fee, or here's, we just sold another course and it's X dollars in the bank account. Mm-hmm. Like we just sent out an email and 10 people bought something, or whatever. We just refied a property, whatever it is. Like, here's where the money's coming from.
Yep.
And here's what we do with the money.
Yep.
Here's why we leave big tips places. Here's, if we're renting a boat, it's like all these people benefit way more than us just having a good afternoon.
Yep.
And talking with them, one, about what do you want to do? Now, a 13-year-old, wanted to be in physics. Now he loves Foo Fighters and he's an amazing drummer. And who knows what he's going to want to do next year. So it's this navigating, what are your interests? How can I expose you to a bunch of different things?
I agree.
And support you in what you want to do. And part of my goal with what we're doing is to set my children up. Like, dude, if you want to go be a firefighter, go be a firefighter. But you don't have to worry about how much a firefighter gets paid.
Right.
Because you got all your bills covered from X.
Because you have assets.
Yeah, because you have assets
that create residual income.
You go you want to teach kindergarten, like go teach kindergarten. Yeah. You want to go be a missionary in Nicaragua, awesome.
Let this fund everything.
Man, it's like we're going to set these assets up so that they can support you. If you want to do what I do, awesome.
Yep.
Here's how we do it. Let's get you set up.
And I think that's a kind of a misnomer with a lot of people of like, I need to be passionate about real estate in order to get in real estate. And a buddy of mine, Trevor Mock, who one of the first courses I ever bought back in 2008, 2009 was something called Private Money Blueprint. Between him and Patrick Riddle had this course. And I remember Trevor saying that. He goes like, I'm not passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about the money that real estate creates that allows me to go and do all these other things. And so it's a vehicle for him to go out and do other avenues and make a difference and make an impact. And like, maybe I'm probably more passionate about real estate than he is. Like, I like the architectural side. I like taking something that looks ugly and making it pretty. There's certain dynamics of real estate
all the
that
pins
I am.
you put on a map for like, all these cool, I'm connected to all these places.
Yeah, I like real estate more than probably he likes it. But real estate to me is more of a vehicle, dude. It's more of a vehicle that's going to get me to a destination versus something I'm really passionate about doing. Like, I like real estate because it generates revenue, it generates wealth, and I can go and spend my time then making an impact, doing coaching, doing mentorship, teaching people, mentoring people, doing, giving back to the community, building hospitals, churches, making donations to families that need it. Like anything along those lines. Having a lifestyle that I also want, right? I just think real estate is it gets you there more predictably than anything else.
Yeah.
I
think that's right.
So, but I like what you're saying about the kids and how do you instill these things in your kids. And I align with your philosophy on that, dude, to the T. And I think just teaching your kids that money's not evil, right? Like filthy rich. I think there's a lot of things like that make money and have an adverse mindset to money.
You don't have to tell me about that. Dude, I was raised in a cult.
Right, dude. Like if you're like,
money's the root of all evil.
Money's the root of all evil. Filthy rich. Rich asshole or whatever it is, right? And you hear about
evil capitalist or whatever it is.
Yeah. And you hear about this stuff. Dude, how many times do you have to hear that as a kid before you start believing that as an adult? And then you have to reprogram yourself. So, or like money's hard to make. Money's hard to keep. Money's difficult. Like it's difficult to get rich. It's difficult to earn money. Like, dude, if you believe that, it's gonna be difficult, right? Like, I instill in my kids.
There's a reason the book is called Think and Grow Rich.
Right. Like my kids, both of them, one's 6 and the other one's 3. They've been doing this for the past 2 years. When they find a nickel on the ground or they find a penny on the ground, they pick it up and I say, what do you say? I'm a money magnet. Right? Because I want them thinking that money's easy. I want them thinking that money flows. And if they understand how to respect money and they understand where it goes and what you need to put it into. And like my daughter, dude, since she was 3 years old, she could say, hey, what are the 3 steps of building wealth? Earn money, keep money, invest your money. What does that lead to? Financial freedom. Now, does she know what those things exactly mean? Maybe not, but I'm going to ingrain it in her so much that it doesn't matter.
That's going to be the little voice in her head when she's 25.
Oh, I just earned money. Now I need to keep it, right?
Yep.
I just earned money. Now I keep it. Now I need to invest it, right? And so, like, again, whether she wants to be a ballet dancer or she wants to be a soccer player or she wants to go and just, tutor kids in an afternoon, she won't have to worry about money, right? Yeah. She'll know that she's got assets, that she knows how to invest in things, and that's something that you could never, ever take away from your kids. And I think it's a profound lesson. And dude, it's just like how important it is for us to tell people about how we can invest their money or how they can invest money with us and the types of returns that they can get. I think it's just as important and we have a duty to instill these principles on our kids because we want to set them up for success.
I tell the boys all the time, it's like, we're going to make as much money as we possibly can so that we can give away as much as we possibly can. So that we will have the resources to make a bigger impact in the world.
Yep.
So when there's a cause that we believe in, we can legit push that cause forward.
Dude, I tell, like, everything in my business is legacy, right? Like, it's legacy family, legacy boardroom, legacy wealth holdings, little legacy library. Everything's legacy. My mountain lodge is called Legacy Lodge, and a lot of people, oh dude, you're going to set your kids up. You're going to give them all this property. They're going to have billions of dollars of property and all this stuff. My kids aren't getting any of it. I'm giving it all away. I'm giving all of it away. They'll get a few key pieces of houses, and I'm sure they'll get $10 million worth of real estate or whatever. But legacy to me is passing down the mindset. Legacy to me is instilling the philosophies.
How many stories have you read of somebody inheriting $10 million and the prodigal son?
Yeah, exactly.
Got his inheritance from his dad, wasted it all.
Dude.
Because his mindset.
My kids are going to say, hey, I don't need your money, Dad, because I know how to do it because you instilled the mindset and the philosophies into me on how to go and do it myself.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's when I know.
They'll be like, Dad, I don't need the $10 million. But if I have the $10 million, this is the impact I'm going to be able to do.
Yep.
And you're not going to be around to see it because it's going to happen 50 years from now, but that 10 million is going to turn into $1 billion, and we're going to solve these problems that the world needs solved.
Yep. And how do you know,
My dad
it's usually
told me
the third. No, go ahead.
Well, my dad told me once that at some point in my adult life, he's like, son, you're going to see things and do things that I didn't even know existed in my life. You're going to go farther than I ever did. And I really believe that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants in my life through the legacy that my dad, my grandfather have given me. And I want my children, I've told my children this, like, William, you're going to do things, you're going to impact the world in ways I cannot even imagine right now. Because my goal is to put you, I'm going to end here, I want you to start way up here. So you can push goodness and grace and whatever good stuff you can do in the world, I'm going to set you up to do it.
How do you make sure that it doesn't falter on the third generation, on his kids? You know, like that's what I keep thinking of. Like, I know my kids will have it because I'm going to instill it.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking like a couple chess moves ahead. How do I make sure that they instill it into their kids? How do I make sure that they continue to progress this forward?
I haven't sorted all that out yet.
Yeah, it's another level of problems, right? Like, it's another level of thoughts. It's I feel super blessed that I can even think about it.
Oh yeah.
And but you're like, you know, and that's why, like, I'm almost like, I don't want to give them a bunch of property or give them a bunch of, you know, I think guys like us, standing on the shoulders of our parents who gave us everything, you know, maybe weren't rich, but they gave us the mindset, right? They gave us the confidence, they gave us the communication skills, and
when you struggle, it's like a butterfly, a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. They have to struggle for those muscles to develop, otherwise it's not a butterfly. They can't do anything. And I think there's so much value in the struggle and the challenge and the climb. If it's just handed to you, you don't realize how, you know, old story of, you know, growing up, it's like, can I have a bike for Christmas? No, you have to work for a bicycle.
How do you earn it?
If I give you a bicycle, you're not going to take care of it because it's just a bicycle. But if you work all summer, save up all your pennies, save up all your dollars, so you buy your bicycle, like, it took me all summer to get this. So yeah, I'm going to lock it up. I'm going to take it inside so it doesn't get rained on. All these things, because you're taking care of it, because you know how hard it was to get.
Was your dad an entrepreneur?
He was a hustler. Entrepreneur, not exactly, but he hustled. He was in ministry, and then he created a job, you know, kind of a solopreneur, you know, created his own thing, but it was a job for him. It never got past him having a job that he created for himself. But to his credit, he created stuff out of nothing to get the bills paid.
Yeah. You know, I think, like, my dad always, like, he's like, hey, go get a job, you know, like, but my dad had a full-time job. He was a police officer, and then he had a part-time personnel security business. Like, he had security guards that would go around and apartment buildings in rough areas and go around factories and foundries in Cleveland, Ohio, and just secure the premises and just be there as a security guard 24 hours a day. And he had this part-time business that made 2 to 3 times what his full-time salary was, right? And he had you know, a few employees and all that kind of stuff. But I remember him, dude, it was just like always, he's like, oh man, somebody didn't show up and he had to go in on Christmas morning or something. Or you know, somebody calls off, no call, no show kind of a thing, and he's got to scramble to find somebody else to go and fill that spot, because otherwise he's going to lose the account. And I think there was so much of, it wasn't a big business, it was a small business. I think I don't know what he did, I think it was 7 figures, $1 million, $2 million a year or something. Not a huge business, but it was a business, and he generated some good income from it. It's, you know, what set him up as kind of like the millionaire next door kind of a guy. And but I think there's so much struggle in his business, and he saw how difficult it was to be an entrepreneur.
He's like, I don't want that for you.
He didn't want that for me, right? He's like, go be a doctor, go be an attorney, go get a white collar job,
make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year,
and just be okay. And he goes, that's the path. And don't have the stress that owning a business is. But I always remember seeing, you know, what he made in a full-time job versus what he made in his part-time business, and it exceeded 3 times what he made in his full-time job. And I was like, something to this entrepreneurship thing, you know? And maybe it's just not set up the right way. Maybe it's not the right industry for me. And that's when I was going through college and like, you know, 03 to 07, everybody's making money in real estate. And I was like, I need to be in real estate in some capacity. And then I just got, you know, went down that road. But dude, when I was struggling in real estate, he's like, dude, just go get a job.
Yeah.
I was like, like what? The other 97%? He's like, yeah, like everybody else. Just go get a friggin' job.
Like the system that we know works.
Yeah, like everybody else. Just go get a job. And I was like, I'm not doing it, Dad. I'm the 3%. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do that. And he's like, oh man. And probably why he didn't invest with me until a year ago, right? Another one of those things, saw me failing and struggling in business before I was ever successful, and didn't have the respect, you know, like I do from other people who didn't know me back then, you know? And so it's I think it's one of those things where, it's going back to your original point of how do you let your kids struggle, but you don't want to see them fail, but we realize the failure is where the growth comes, right? We realize that the struggle is where, you know, you really mature in life and in business and in your mindset.
My dad tells me this story about like parents. At some point, he was like 12, and my grandfather took him to go look at a house. He's like, hey, this house is for sale. Like, you know, this is like 1960. 1960. Like, this house is for sale for $8,000 in Summerville, and you know. And my dad somehow had saved up $8,000, whatever the number was. He'd saved up that much money from cutting grass.
Yeah.
To be able to buy this house. It's like, you buy this house, there's somebody rents it out, and you know, you make $50 a month, whatever it is. Covers the mortgage, pays the bills. My dad was like, well, what if there's no tenant in it? And my granddad, the story my dad tells you is, my granddad's like, well, then you know, you got to pay the mortgage. He's 12. He didn't have $150. You know, this is like, you work all day for $5 cutting grass. And that math equation was too much for my dad. Now, in hindsight, my dad's like, you know, of course, I mean, my grandfather did insurance, and he was very successful, retired when he was 50. So like, obviously, looking back, granddaddy would have covered the spread. There's no way he would have let his 12-year-old son go bankrupt over a house. But he didn't communicate that to him. So my dad said, no, that's too much stress. And legitimately, that is too much stress for a 12-year-old. They need to be a 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's hard to conceptualize that, you know?
But having that safety net where it's like, kids, it's okay to do this. If you fail, there's always home. It's like, you can come home, go fail. Don't come home if you're succeeding. Yep. Come home if you gave it your all.
It's good to know that there's a safety net there, right? It's something to catch you.
It's like, dude, I got an apartment you can live in.
Yep, exactly. Exactly, dude. And I think there's...
No, you get the one bedroom.
Like, and to me, the whole idea of failing in business and knowing that I got a buddy whose couch I can sleep on, or I like, now it's a different type of failure. Like, I can call up any one of a couple dozen people and say, hey man, I just went bankrupt and I need $100,000 to get back on it, and I'll get you back. I don't know when it's going to be. Dude, I know
it'll be $1 million by the end of the week.
Yeah, I could get,
if not the end of the day,
I could get people to give me $100,000 based on my reputation. But like early on, I was like, what's the worst thing that could happen, dude? I'm not going to die, right? Like, it's not death if this apartment building or this single family house flip, like, I bought it for $100,000. You know, what if I lose money and I lose 100? No, you're not going to lose $100,000. You're going to lose like 10 grand or 20 grand. Worst case, you're still going to sell it for 80 grand or at least, right?
Exactly.
So like, first understanding that, and secondly, it's money, dude. You can go make more money. Like, people make more money all the time, and you're not dead, right? Like, worst case scenario, I move back in with my parents. Worst case scenario, I move back in with my buddy. Worst case scenario, you know, I don't live in a multi-million-dollar house on the beach, and I live in a beautiful $400,000 house inland a little bit, right? Dude, that's not a bad worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario is never what people think it is.
Dude, we make up these stories in our head, man. It's just not real, right? It's not danger. It's just fear, which is a totally made up story.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
That's it, man. I love that. All right, dude.
We better wrap it up.
Yeah, man.
What do we do?
No, this is a great conversation. Easy to talk to you, brother. And I think we got into some really, really good stuff. We didn't even get deep into like stories, and I was going to ask you about your coaching and all that other stuff. But Let's hit on that and we'll wrap from there.
Okay.
So you guys, 2 years in the business, 800 units. All of a sudden you're a guru. I'm just kidding. No.
My wife hates that term.
So do I,
Yeah.
right? But gurus are actually like, they're the ones who impart knowledge on others, right? Guru is actually a really good positive term and just got a negative connotation to it over the past couple decades because of, shitbags in the industry.
Because of scam artists.
Right. And so some people would be like, Yeadon, like, who do you think you are? Like, all of a sudden you're launching a service or a product and you're going to teach other people. Like, you've only been doing it for 2 years, blah, blah, blah. And like, you haven't even, you've only seen one deal go full cycle. Well, here's the thing. I got started, right? I have seen a deal go full cycle. I have acquired this many units. People don't realize how much you've gone through in order to learn what you've learned, to accomplish what you've accomplished.
And the other thing is, like, can you drive a stick?
I cannot. No.
Oh, you cannot?
No.
Okay, well then so like, if I were to go out and teach you how to drive a stick, you would remember what it's like to learn how to drive a stick for the next several months. Me, I don't remember what it was like to learn. Because I learned when I was 19. It's 21 years distant. Remembering what it's like getting started is difficult if you're too far removed from it.
I agree.
And, I would say, look, yeah, I've only been doing this for 2 years, but hey, I know what it's like to go from 0 to 800 in 2 years. And I can outline the path. I can show you the mistakes we've made, the lessons we've learned. Do I know all the answers? No. But I know I was super nervous in spending $5,000 to fly across the country, stay with family on the cheap, Uber into town, pay for all of our lunches, and we had to stay another night because of our flight got canceled coming home. Like, that was $5,000 plus 4 days of my life. And now someone's like, your course is $2,000. It's like, this, like, dude, I know what to tell you. And it's like, if you don't see the value, it's not for you.
Exactly. And it's like, well, I guess the point that I was trying to make was, dude, I can't connect with some people, right? Like, because I am farther removed, right? And some people are like, dude, I can't even see 5,000 doors in a head. But I can see, like my first million in multifamily. Yeah, I can correlate that in my head.
My first deal was 18 units.
I can put that in my head, right? Like, I think that's a very, very profound thing. And like, there's different stepping stones, and then they can watch you through your path. They can watch you, and you guys have gotten your Facebook group, my first million in multifamily, up to 10,000 people.
Dude, it's blown up.
It's awesome, dude. I think it's amazing. And I think you're providing so much value to other people, newbies and people who have already been in the game for many years.
We have
who are just, dude, they're like spinning their wheels, right? They're inside the rat race right now. They're trying to get on the outer loop.
One of our students was like, dude, this is the third course I bought. He's banging his head against the wall trying to get a deal. I'm like, dude, tell me what's going on. I'm like, oh, whoa. Pause here. You're crushing it over here. It's like, you need to double down over here, get out of the rat race on this end, and then over here will be way simpler. It's like, don't stop what you're doing to make money to try and get into the apartment buying industry. Like, the way I did it with a family of 4, burning the ships, it's possible, but it's stressful. It's stressful. And if you've never burned the ships before, don't burn the ships trying to buy an apartment building.
It's
but yeah,
you need a little bit of time. You need to you need to have arms linked with somebody who's at least done it, right?
Exactly.
So that way it dampens the amount of risk, and you understand how you can take an acquisition fee up front, and at least if you are going to burn the ships, boom, you take an acquisition fee. You got $70,000 or whatever.
I got 6 more months of runway.
Exactly. And so like, you at least, I wouldn't try to do it solo. I would either link arms, joint venture, hire a coach, hire a mentor, join a mastermind, have some resources, connections, so that way when things do get stressful, you at least have somebody you can bounce those ideas off of, or can advise you on which direction to go.
The thing I absolutely love about what we're doing with the education piece is, I was talking with another mastermind that I'm in, like, what does your business look like in a year? And I said, look, in a year, I will have 10 messages from students that have gone through this thing, and I'll have 10 messages saying, thank you so much for creating this. It changed my life.
Yep.
So I know,
dude, it'll come.
Commercial Empire changed my life.
Appreciate
It's like,
that.
So, like, all these people that are going to send me messages, like, I'm going to say, Tim, here you go. These are all your grandkids
Dude,
right here.
That's what my initial goal was to help, 1,000 people become millionaires, right? That means I created
$1 billion,
$1 of value for other people. And now it's not that, dude, my goal now is to help 1,000 people become leaders that can help 1,000 people become millionaires.
That's
you know
what
that does?
people. Yeah.
Dude, that's, what is that, $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Right? That's $1 trillion of value. So if I can help support you in any capacity to help you impact 1,000 people, which you are absolutely doing, dude, think of, and
it's geometric.
It's amazing how it compounds. It's amazing what can be done from it if you can help enough other people get what they want. You'll always have what you
Zig
want.
Ziglar.
And
Help
everybody
people
else
get what
will
they
too,
want,
man.
you'll have what you want.
Which,
That's right.
and it almost sounds selfish, but it's not. It's self-serving, and everything everybody does is self-serving, right?
A job is self-serving.
Dude, exactly. A job is self-serving, or like giving to a church, or giving to a hospital, or helping out a family. Why do you do that? I don't know, because it makes me feel good.
Right. Because it's my moral compass.
It's self-serving, right?
It fits in with
it
what
helps,
I do.
but it's still. So it's okay though, right? I think a lot of people kind of not downplay, but like poo-poo that, like you can't be It's okay. Like the more selfish you are, guess what? The more you're going to help other people if your selfishness is
You
rooted in
can't
the
help
right
someone who's
reasons.
drowning if you don't know how to swim.
Right. You got to put the mask on
You
yourself.
can help more
right?
people if you know how to. You can help somebody if you know how to swim. You can help more people if you have a boat. You can help more people if you have a big boat.
Yep.
It's like the more resources you have, the more people you can
And
help.
the bigger your mastermind is, or the bigger your education is,
That's right.
the more people you can impact, and the more people that they can help. So I think it's
There are no losers.
Dude,
there are no losers in this.
And I think we've learned a lot that like we need more leaders, right? We need more people who can think critically and who can convey thoughts and who can less people being influenced and more people influencing in a positive direction.
Right. That's right.
I think is really, really important. So
Less people watching YouTube and more people making videos.
yeah, man. And
That are worthwhile.
Yeah. That are worth the value. It's not just
Not just
nonsense.
here's my bottle flip.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, dude.
All right,
dude,
brother.
I really appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you
Thank
very,
for all
very much.
That was an awesome conversation. I'm excited for this to pop, and I know people are going to get a ton of value out of it. So appreciate you. Appreciate our friendship.
Thanks, man.
See you at the Mastermind in a couple
Yes,
weeks.
indeed. That's right.
Hope you guys got a ton of value out of that. Yeadon's an absolute stud. I'm excited about not only what he's accomplished, but where he's going over the next 36 months. I think he can surpass what I was able to do, and I hope he does. I hope he goes straight to 5,000 to 10,000 doors over the next few years here, and that just means he's making a bigger impact on the lives of his private money investors, of other joint venture partners, students of his, tenants, contractors, vendors, suppliers, management companies. That means he's making big impact and doing some amazing things. So if you're not already connected with him, make sure you are. Check out My First Million in Multifamily, his Facebook group. And if this was helpful for you, please share it, right? Like it, hit the notification bell so that way you see all the different Spill the Beans episodes as we drop these every Sunday moving forward. Like it, share it with somebody else who will get value out of it as well. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Till next time, see you on Spill the Beans. Be your best.